Good morning. Good morning. What's happening, family? Welcome to the show. It is Michelle Bryant here at WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM. You are listening to Say Something Real. And just like to say my per usual thank you to the Milwaukee Police Department for nobody being out when I was on my way to work this morning. I just want to thank the good men and women in blue for being somewhere else and not on Capitol Drive when I was coming down the street this morning. I don't know what Alexa was on, but she did not wake me up this morning.
She overslept.
So Alexa overslept.
Yeah.
And I know I'm messing up blank in people's houses by saying the word.
Keep saying it.
Yep. And so I didn't catch that. Could you that's because that's what she'll tell you. I didn't hear that. I didn't catch that. Could you repeat it? But yeah, I just happened to open my eyes and say, hey, what time is it? Like 5:18? 5:18? No. So I was behind. But I am here. A lot to talk about this morning. Let me say good morning to the brothers in the building. What up, D-Bob? How you doing this morning, sir?
Good morning, Michelle. I am blessed and highly favored, and I certainly would be remiss.
Oh, here we go.
I had to give you that. I had to give you that one since you threw it at me last week.
Here we go.
But yeah, just want to say this quickly to the community. A legend, an icon in this city that's been around a long time, Boss Hogg, is in the hospital, and it looks kind of rough, y'all. So if you can get a prayer past the ceiling, pray for the legendary DJ Boss Hogg.
Now, I'm not familiar with this brother. Who is he?
Oh, he's been around forever. He used to work for NOV back in the day. Still a club jock, but just very well known and very well liked. Works for the city also. So pretty popular dude.
Okay.
Yeah, he was actually coming in on Saturdays. On my blues show as well, so folks know him.
All right, well, certainly, I was going to say condolences, Jesus, but certainly I will keep him uplifted in prayer, as the good church folks say. You all right though?
Yeah, but I don't mean no harm, but I said if you can get a prayer past the ceiling. So you gonna lift up and
wait a minute. Wait.
I want to be sure.
Wait.
What I heard you say.
Wait a minute. You said if you can get a prayer past the ceiling. Mm-hmm. You know what? I could take the bait, but it's early. Mm-hmm. I'm not sharp this morning because I'm still sleepy.
You think her prayer go past the ceiling?
Hey man, listen, that's between her and God.
It is. So we take what we can get, Michelle.
Yeah. Between her and God, man, I think it get to the third floor.
Jermaine.
Third floor. Yeah. Not past the roof though.
No, just third floor.
You know what? So since he ride with me today, I ain't gonna say nothing about him. But look, I'm like, say what?
All he did was get you to the third floor.
I kind of heard the shot within the shot. That's why I'm gonna come for him right away. I'm gonna come for him right away.
I already knew you was coming for it was premeditated.
Nah, because I told Keith I was gonna wait till his show, but I can't be here for his show because I was like, "Nah, Keith, we gonna do it together. We gonna do it together."
Can go ahead. I'd like to hear this. What we got
let me say good morning first. Good morning, Mr. Rideout. Come on with it. Come on with it, baby.
I just want you and Keith to know.
You better not say nothing bad.
that boy. Now y'all know I can hide a couple shots up my sleeve.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Don't do it.
You gotta do what you gotta do. Because if you think you ain't about to get this smoke, if you think,
hey, she told me I'm gonna tell yo, I'm gonna tell.
I mean, and it really wasn't my idea.
I know it was Keith.
It was Keith's idea.
I'm gonna get him too. I'm gonna get him too.
But for folks who may be wondering,
oh, man.
On Saturday had the Friday. That's right. Saturday I was at I set up for Danae en Blanc, but on Friday, Jermaine Rideout had because I'm too busy trying to get to it. That's why his little angels trying to trip me up. His mama praying, she listening like, come on now, don't do my baby like that. So she praying, and that's the whole church family. So they praying and they try to trip me up. But Jermaine had his birthday party, and so of course, I came fashionably late. Keith was there when the doors opened. And so, of course, I come fashionably late. And Mr. Rideout is on the stage actually playing. And I was like, oh, you play at your own birthday party? So that was cool. Singing a little couple of tunes. I was like, oh, my goodness. Star-studded. All the little entertainers in the city and some national folks in the building. I'm like, okay. Then I turn around and look, and I'm like, is that Omar Gooding? Cuba Gooding's brother? Like the man who does all the plays and, on all the little TV shows? Yes, it was. So, I'm like, I'm out here seeing stars at Jermaine's party. But...
Don't you do it to me. Don't you.
Jermaine was dressed impeccably. Was that a gray suit you had on?
Yeah.
Gray suit. It was hitting. And nice tie. And dude decided
I had to have it pop.
He was going to have on some statement shoes.
I had to have them pop, G.
So this dude had on some ruby reds. And Keith's parents was like, tell this to click his heels 3 times.
There's no place like home.
and of course, Jermaine go click his heels. Oh my God. And then Keith said, I'm still in Keith's jokes, because Keith said, oh, we couldn't afford red bottoms, so we got red tops.
Hey, by the way, them shoes was a few $100, man.
So, I was like, hold on, Keith. I said, they look like they cost a little change.
They cost some change.
And Keith was like, they do. But that does not change. What we get ready to say about these Dorothy's he got on. I was like, not the Dorothy.
Hey, I kept looking at Keith. Keith looking down at my feet. I knew he was plotting.
And Keith is ultra conservative.
I knew he was plotting.
He ain't gonna step out the box to save his life. If Rondo over there drowning, he ain't stepping out the box. He gonna be like, dang, baby, we done had a good run. He ain't stepping out the box. Whatever the little routine's supposed to be with the little gear, that's what Keith gonna have on. He ain't a line stepper, as Keon would say. He's not a line stepper. But Jermaine, Jermaine is a line stepper.
Oh man, habitual.
Dude, them red shoes was
put on your red shoes and your gray shoes.
Oh my God.
Oh, and by the way,
yes,
I heard y'all last week
about
when Jermaine said he was going to be dressed as something. He said, "I hope people don't come with that loud suit on."
I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Jermaine kicked that off.
I didn't hear that. I wish, man.
I was listening directly at you.
I didn't hear
Carvey
that.
was in the building, man.
Yeah, that's what brought it back.
Oh my God, it was so good to see Carvey.
Dude, man. I
met Jermaine's. I met your daughter because I knew your son.
Yeah.
And that's a handsome child. So I saw your son, met your daughter. Yeah, she a cute little thing. Yeah. Like I can see my brothers and my daddy now. Like, hey, keep an eye on her.
Hey, you already
keep a leash on. Get them away from her. So
snap.
So how are you, birthday man?
Man, I'm
you recovered?
Yeah. Well, man, after the party, Omar called me.
Somebody said Dorothy would be envious of those ruby red slippers.
Hey, wait till you see. Hey, Dave, I'm gonna see your picture so you put it on the screen.
Okay. Yeah, please do.
Somebody said Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz.
I'm gonna say that to Diva.
Yes, so they was rubies. Like my red glasses don't have nothing on them shoes, man. Soon as you walked in, the light was hitting them. They was twinkling and carrying on.
No place like home. No, but after that, I ended up going down to.
Somebody said send pictures.
Oh, I'm about to
post pictures.
I said,
Oh, I got some on my phone.
Yeah, send them.
I just thought about it.
Michelle. Send me the good
I was
ones.
taking pictures. I got them on my phone.
Yeah, send me the good ones because he's not gonna send no good ones.
Dude, I'm
He
telling
want them shoes seen in their best light.
Twinkle Toes was up in there. You hear me?
Hold on.
I'll get those right on screen.
And then, hold on.
Somebody said, "Is he a Kappa?" Heck no, he ain't no Kappa.
It's crazy because I took a picture with my homegirl, and I didn't know that because people thought that we was a couple because I had on a gray suit with red shoes. She had on a red dress with gray shoes, but we didn't talk like at all. So they was like, "Man, y'all like, nah."
Hey! Don't try to dress this up.
No,
Don't try. Let me see. Is it the actual shoes?
Send me that one. Send me that one, Jermaine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but
no, I got the close up though.
Yeah,
no, you send that one. Send that one. Send that one to Debo.
Nobody else in the picture.
Why? She was at a public party.
Oh well, yeah.
What is you talking about?
Okay, yeah.
Is it on Facebook?
Yeah.
I'm just saying she was at a public party. So while Jermaine is doing that,
I need you to send yours
I'm doing a show.
Terrible,
I'm trying to be professional.
simultaneously.
But I'm gonna get him out. But I really wanted to be here with Keith to do it. But I ain't gonna be able to stay. Yeah, we was plotting already. And I'm talking about the one-liners. Oh my God, man.
Now you know I shoot back.
Dave Chappelle worthy. You hear me?
Now you know I shoot back now.
Ain't nobody scared. Ain't nobody scared. Because let me be clear. Whatever shooting you do, it better be in the direction of Keith Ferris. Nothing better not come my way. I ain't taking no strays. Nothing better not come my way. Because I'm telling you right now. No, sir. It ain't my fault you had them big red shoes on.
Put on your red shoes.
I'm just like, looking sexy up in here.
Hey, man,
I saw him as soon as I came in.
Hey, I should have crossed the floor like.
You should have did the George Jefferson and just eased on down, baby. Because I did. I started. Don't you carry nothing that might be alone. No. Because we did the Wiz. We didn't do the Wizard of Oz. We were singing the Wiz over at our table.
Michael Jackson in there.
I'm just saying. So I'm gonna wait. I'll see if Keith actually says anything because he may just be like, Michelle ruined it.
No, but I want to say I really do appreciate everybody that came out. Michelle, Keith, it really meant a lot.
He putting them on the screen. Take them down. There they go.
They can't see that yet, Michelle. They can't see that yet. I'm saving it now and converting it.
Oh, they can't see it yet. Okay. Get down to them shoes, bro. But I did concede. They look like they cost a few dollars though.
They did. And I think I want to take them back to the stove.
They were celebrity worthy. No, now. You gotta have, and I mean, you and Leo, you can carry off the attitude to wear them shoes.
Oh yeah,
because they was popping, baby.
Hey, listen here. I mean, when you got the right stuff around it, it's gonna,
it's gone.
Yeah, it's gonna.
It's
fall
gone.
Now he's a fashion consultant.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, every day I ain't gotta be a thug every day. Some days, I clean up and. Put on the suit.
Let me be clear.
Drum roll, please.
Don't you do it, Debo.
Your gear is not what necessarily makes you a thug. It's some well-dressed thugs in the city and around us.
What the lady got on? What that is she got on now?
Well, we ain't talking about her. We just talking about them shoes. And as you can see, it's a quality shoe. Like the toe on them. They actually are some bad shoes.
I mean,
but
the grip on them too.
It was unexpected. It caught us off guard. We didn't know.
Goes the weasel.
So, I just want to say kudos to a brother. So, all right, let me turn. We got callers? Why we got callers? Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening? Hello.
Hello. Hey, Michelle.
Hey, how you doing this morning?
Chilling. Hey, chilling. Did I ever tell you about my friend named David?
No, I don't think so.
So he got pulled over by the cops the other day.
Okay.
And they asked him his name. And he said, well, my name is David. And he said, excuse me, sir, do you have a speech impediment? He said, no, my dad does. But the guy who filled out my birth certificate was a real asshole.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
So
No, because when the day he has his daddy.
So hang up on him. just go ahead. Oh, he hung up first? Yeah, because hang up on him.
See, that's not fair. 'Cause my daddy talked like that.
Your dad.
My name could have been Darren.
Write that down.
You know what? I will not be participating in.
I'm serious. My daddy really do talk like that.
You know what?
Honest to
Whatever,
God.
Debo, whatever. Go to the next line. That's how you gonna start my day, bro. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning, 860 WNOV, the #1 station in the country. You did.
Say it, bro.
Ray Matthews, you understand? Increase the peace, stop the violence, and make sure the kids have a book bag and you understand, and a hat and scarf because it's coming. It's gonna be cold again.
It's
gonna be cold. You understand? We gotta take care of the community, stop the violence, man, and get the kids a job this fall. Clean up the community, the blocks, man. Buy them a popsicle, buy them an ice cream cone. The ice cream truck come down the street every day.
That's it.
Yeah, so clean the community up, man. Let's make our community a safe and beautiful environment. And Ray Matthews, and
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate you, Ray.
Conscientious Mac.
I'm just saying, everybody, he remind me of Petey Green.
Petey Green.
I'm just saying, he remind me of Petey Green. I'm all for it. So let me say this. Yeah, they getting it. They at you. Somebody did not say Ronald McDonald shoes. Oh, the red. But y'all,
suit and the red shoes look like a rocket.
Alderman Mackers.
see, y'all gonna start. Y'all gonna start.
They bogus.
If you can't be appropriate in the chat, we will have to delete your comments.
They bogus.
As long as they're not directed at me.
They bogus.
Somebody said wear them on Christmas.
Chestnuts roasted.
So look, let me get into a couple quick things because I got guests this morning. Let me get this caller. Hey caller, what's happening?
Man, happy Vaseline Day.
What's going on, bro?
They don't let a real player get through, huh?
Really? Where you at?
Let me tell you something. Y'all, it sound like y'all had a good old weekend, didn't y'all?
We did just a little bit.
I looked at all the pictures. Pictures looked real nice, but I didn't see you in none of them because, black folks be laid in the mud because I didn't see no pictures of you.
Let me be clear, player. There are photos of me, fly to death, I might add. And I'll be happy to get mine posted as well.
Yeah, because, I'm like, if the party started at 7, that means you got to tell Michelle the party started at 6.
The party went to like midnight, man. I'm not going to be there for 5 hours. Yeah, it was a concert extravaganza.
Midnight. Hey, that means they turned their liquor off by midnight.
I'm just telling you, it was an extravaganza. It was like phases to the party. DJ, live performances, the band, the guest drummers, DJ. Yeah, I mean, it was like a whole bunch going on, man. I could be there all night with you, man.
It sounded like some Cinderella type stuff because you had to be in by midnight, huh, Jay?
Oh, no, I didn't get in at 6 in the morning.
No, that's a Cinderella, to turn into a pumpkin.
Yeah, I did go tag.
But Michelle, Michelle, we gonna cut the BS. We're gonna cut the BS. You got to be on time, fam.
Dude, no.
You can't always be Black Power. Everything.
Look, bruh, there is no time for me to get to a party that, I don't know who comes to a party as soon as it starts. That's just madness to me. No,
nobody.
If you say the party started at 7, we really falling in there at 8 and 9.
In the band.
Right. And I mean, everybody know that. So they got time to get warmed up before we get there. Yeah. And then we ready to party. But man, this dude did a whole lineup, man. It was like sets. It was a whole bunch of stuff happening.
No, actually,
let me find out Michelle Bryant is pre-gaming at the house.
I'm sorry. Hang up on him. hang up on him too. Click him.
Not
click
free
'em.
gaming.
I don't have time. All right, so I said I wanted to get to like a couple things before. I think I got guests coming in this morning. I'm not sure, but I think so. Jermaine asked me the question as soon as I walked in the door. I'm gonna talk about it after I take this break. But I am so tired of folks not knowing how to go somewhere and act like they got good sense. I don't understand how State Fair becomes WWF for way too many children, young people in our community. Like that's what it's for. That's not what State Fair is for. And then when we get the complaints about we don't have nothing in our community, because it's always a few that mess it up for the masses. So I'm gonna take a break. When we come back, how an officer got punched in the face.
What? An officer?
A police officer got punched in the face.
Oh, they getting charged.
I'll be right back.
The work we're doing at Veolia is absolutely bringing access to the water for people. To be able to have this job to help keep our rivers clean and our lake clean is the greatest thing I could ask to be doing with my time. It feels good. You're accomplishing something that is truly helping everybody in the community I was born and raised in. Water is our greatest resource. We all need it to survive. Veolia is 100% doing great work.
When we wanted to expand access for folks in need of bikes, we turned to Veolia. The result, the new Veolia EcoPass program that has dramatically increased access to our bike share system for folks all throughout our community, connecting students to schools, people looking for work with employers, the community with parks. Thanks to our partnership with Veolia, Bubbler Bikes is serving more people than ever before. Those are Milwaukee values.
I'm Jim Plaisted. I'm the Executive Director of the Historic Third Ward Association and also a resident of the Historic Third Ward. Somebody's got to manage this, right, and care for our waterways and care for the treatment of our waterways. We couldn't do it without MMSD and Veolia. They've just been a great partner as long as I've known them. It's just been an amazing recovery for this body of water. MMSD and Veolia have been a big part of getting that clean and enjoyable for all of us.
Hotels.com members save up to 20%.
Oh, I am pulling this clip from a local media outlet regarding the occurrences at State Fair. And okay,
We're following breaking news from State Fair Park. Police tell 12 News an officer was punched in the face tonight just before the fair was set to end. 12 News' TJ Dysart joins us live from State Fair Park in West Dallas. TJ, you were seeing a chaotic scene right as the fair closed there.
Yeah, that's right, Kendall. And we've just learned some new information literally within the last 10 minutes from when you first came to us out here at State Fair Park. We now know that multiple officers were attacked, that coming from officers on scene and eyewitnesses right now. I want to give you a look at the main entrance here. This entrance gets you right into Spin City. We're told this is exactly where this happened. When you came to us earlier, if we take a look over here, not as many people here in the front entrance as we saw just about 10 minutes ago. Officers here to the left on their horses, making sure people are cleared out. Earlier at the top of the hour, they told folks that were hanging out here that this is not the space to be waiting for your cars, telling them to go over to other directions. So they've obviously cleared this out somewhat since you last come to us, but I want to give you a look at some video from when we first got here, because this was the chaotic scene. Again, just within the last 10 minutes, this video was taken. You can see dozens of people in the middle of the front entrance. Again, Kendall, as you mentioned, according to an officer here on scene, we're told that this involved an officer getting punched in the face, and then we're told multiple fights broke out after that. We are still trying to work on details as to learning if the officer getting attacked is what started these fights or if this went on during officers trying to break up other fights. Of course, those are questions we'll keep pressing Milwaukee police for. As far as the officers on scene here on their horses, on the bicycles, we're told that everybody out here in the front entrance is okay. So some good news for them as well, Kendall, as they try and continue to clear just a little dozen of people that are still out here waiting for cars. But as of right now, I can report to you that it's safe at the moment. Nothing going on it now, but still quite a chaotic scene for the last day of the State Fair here.
Right, just an unfortunate and violent way to end the State Fair this year. Thank you so much, TJ, reporting live for us in West Dallas.
All right, folks. So I wanted to take a minute to do that. We do have our guest in, Attorney Mark Thompson, this morning. But, you know, this is a reoccurring thing. State Fair, and I know that the organizers of State Fair, while they are always excited to bring the fair every year, all the different, you know, competitions, agricultural offerings, you know, the entertainment lineup, they don't shy away from doing things that include everybody in the community. I think Ron Isley performed out there, although, you know, some of those acts will skew a little bit older. But without fail, every year we have a situation. And it's like young people are waiting for the fair, for that opportunity to go and get into some nonsense that usually ends up in physical fights and folks being, you know, hurt. And you get so tired of trying to defend the need to create space and opportunity for people, only to have a few people come and mess it up every time. People gotta hate to see us coming. If I can just be candid for 5 seconds, because the actions of a few young Black teens becomes the reputation or the character of the entire Black community. I don't know how many times when I was young, my mother and grandfather and my dad, they always imparted to us, when you leave this house, you represent A, yourself, B, this family, and C, this community. And they meant Black folks. Because they will judge everybody else based on how you behave in the streets. It's not fair. Other groups don't fall under the same level of scrutiny, but it is what it is. And so there are folks that push and advocate for our young people to have opportunities, to have a place to hang out, to have a place to kick it. But we don't help ourselves when we can't figure out how to go out to State Fair and not have drama. When I used to be the ED for African World Festival, the individual that owns that sky ride that takes you from one side of Summerfest to the other side of Summerfest, they would pay us to keep it closed. because our young people couldn't get on it and ride from one end of Summerfest to the other end without dropping something on people's head, doing something inappropriate that potentially caused harm, spitting on people. So the owner of that would pay us to keep it closed, because if we ran it and work with him to run it, that would be additional revenue for the festival. But we missed that money because we couldn't have folks up there who didn't know how to act, and it became a liability issue. Before we went to break, and I said I teased this and said I was going to talk about it, Jermaine said, "What is the penalty for hitting an officer?" I said, "I don't know." And he said, like 5 years? I don't know. But an attorney comes in the door, right on cue, looking all like he is on summer vacation. I'm not used to seeing Attorney Mark Thompson without a tie on. Good morning, Mark. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Michelle. I am doing very well. Thank you very, very much.
It is good to see you this morning. You look nice in your white linen, rested. You okay?
I'm here with you. I got to be okay.
I'm just saying.
Where else would you want to be on a Monday morning?
But this is a good look. I like it. I like it. So first of all, this segment is a monthly segment that we do with Attorney Thompson, the Scales of Justice. Attorney Thompson, you want to remind folks of your law firm?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I've had the privilege and honor of being here once a month with you now for a while, I guess.
Yeah. And
my law firm is Gingras, Thompson and Wax. We have offices in Milwaukee, Madison, Eau Claire, Waukesha. Every day we take care of people that have been injured, whether it's drunk drivers, car crashes, just falling when somebody's not taking care of their sidewalk. To civil rights cases where you have and it's ironic you bring this up, right? We have an officer that was hit, and it sounds like from what you're saying, not rightly so. And similarly, there are times, as everyone knows, that law enforcement officers cross the line and use excessive force, and we're here to represent the victims of those assaults as well. My phone number is 414-837-4167, 414-837-4167. And if you're injured and you need somebody, we're honored and privileged to represent you. So that's a little bit about my day-to-day business.
So look, I need to take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk to Attorney Thompson about some of the issues confronting us today, get a legal framework by which to have some of these conversations. So just give me a second. We'll be right back. Michelle Bryant, WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM. You are listening to The Scales of Justice.
The work we're doing at Veolia is absolutely bringing access to the water for people. To be able to have this job to help keep our rivers clean and our lake clean is the greatest thing I could ask to be doing with my time. It feels good. You're accomplishing something that is truly helping everybody in the community I was born and raised in. Water is our greatest resource. We all need it to survive. Veolia is 100% doing great work.
When we wanted to expand access for folks in need of bikes, we turned to Veolia. The result, the new Veolia EcoPass program that has dramatically increased access to our bike share system for folks all throughout our community, connecting students to schools, people looking for work with employers, the community with parks. Thanks to our partnership with Veolia, Bubbler Bikes is serving more people than ever before. Those are Milwaukee values.
I'm Jim Playstead. I'm the Executive Director of the Historic Third Ward Association and also a resident of the Historic Third Ward. Somebody's got to manage this, right, and care for our waterways and care for the treatment of our waterways. We couldn't do it without MMSD and Veolia. They've just been a great partner as long as I've known them. It's just been an amazing recovery for this body of water. MMSD and Veolia have been a big part of getting that clean and enjoyable for all of us.
We have been in business here for 14 years. I believe the rivers are the cleanest they've ever been. We get lots of people on our rivers in canoes, kayaks, stand-up paddleboards. People are happy to be here, and it's growing every year. We love our partnership with Veolia. They help the kayak company grow. I definitely don't think we would be here without Veolia and MMSD. Clean water is essential.
All right, family, welcome back to the show. So before I went to the break, said we wanted to get into a couple of topics with Attorney Thompson. I think one of the things that is top of mind, though, you just can't help but just think about, you know, many of the conversations that I've had with Attorney Thompson have centered around young Black males, how they are engaged in the city of Milwaukee, you know, talking about folks understanding their rights, knowing what protections are available to them. And then this, though, on the flip side, an opportunity to talk about a young Black man that potentially can ascend to the highest elected office in the state. And that's got to be an interesting dichotomy, considering how you at times have to come in and interact and engage to see what's happening in our state right now. So there was no way you couldn't be in the studio and not get your 2 cents worth on what we've just seen politically in this state.
You know, David Crowley is just such a fascinating human being. You know, literally, obviously had help with the community, right? But he was not spoon fed. He didn't grow up as a trust fund baby. He didn't grow up on, Lake Drive where, I saw the Joel Brennan signs lined up. But he grew up in 53206 and has become a role model for young men, and not just young black men, right? I mean, of what one can do with hard work, grit, and a real attitude of caring. So I was, I was a supporter of David Crowley way before he got into this race and early in this race. And, I was very, very happy when he got back in, Sarah Rodriguez set him up, right? She knew her campaign was tanking. Tony Evers couldn't get in and back anybody other than his lieutenant governor. So, he stayed out, respectfully and letting everybody run. And, for Sarah to sit down and talk to David and say, I accept your endorsement. Thank you for your help, knowing that she's going under.
And then let's be clear. At some point, I believe somebody asked for the endorsement. He didn't just wake up and say, I'm jumping out of the race and, oh, let me see of all the candidates. I picked Sarah Rodriguez. I believe that support was asked for. Now, I could be wrong, but I just don't believe that he arbitrarily just woke up, because that's when you watch what happens behind the scenes in politics, that people call you all the time. Hey, can I get your endorsement? Hey, can I get your endorsement? I actively am wondering, did she seek his endorsement knowing that this was a problem? Not just that she accepted it, but did you seek the endorsement? And that's a fine line for me.
But I'm looking at it from David's point of view, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it was if David, to get back in, he had to have two things. Folks that had money and backing Sarah needed to come with him, and the governor needed to endorse. You needed those two things. And those two things happened, so he is the comeback kid, right?
You really need three things. You need.
Well, those are okay.
You also need Mandela to get out, because had Mandela stayed in, when they were saying he was, like, even though we know right now, and I really want to talk to the folks over at Marquette to ask them how this polling goes so off. But they had Mandela polling at 16%. So, I think that Mandela getting out also becomes a factor, because you don't divide some of the votes.
Yeah, no, and I think that's absolutely correct. But that goes back earlier. It's my understanding that David had called Mandela up front and said, "Are you going to run?" And Mandela said no, and David got in.
Right.
Okay, so, and I didn't want to go back that far, but if Mandela says to David, "I'm not running," he should never have got in, right? Because we know how difficult it is to run as an African American statewide. No, but when there are more than one legitimate candidates and you completely divide up a potential voting block, that is not a recipe for success.
Right.
But so to me, because I stayed up, I watched the fiasco here in Milwaukee pushing the wrong button. How ridiculous was that? Now I'm speaking as an elections commissioner. It's like, oh, come on, please, not again. But here, to me, as from a plaintiff's lawyer and a citizen of the state, what excites me about David running, because I think he can win and will win. Okay. It's going to take a lot of work, but the work he did as background to make the minor changes they did in share revenue, right? He works statewide with a lot of communities. So he already has that base. And the numbers showed, right? I mean, outside, I mean, he did well running on a program that is for the people. And to me, it's if we, as a community, as a state, can elect blue down, there is a real opportunity for Wisconsin to make a huge leap forward, right? I mean, David winning is not enough. You need the Senate, you need the Assembly, and you need this coalition in power in Madison with a 2-year opportunity, essentially 1 year, to really, really turn Wisconsin as a ship around towards doing the right thing for people. And I was really, really excited because, you know, just from a plaintiff's lawyer, one of the things we're always doing is we're representing people in car crashes. Truth in Auto was a bill that Jim Doyle signed early on that created equity in insurance for consumers, right? I mean, it turned it around where there were the minimums were 300,000, right? And the insurance companies did not go broke. Insurance rates didn't go sky high, but people that were injured had the ability to recover. Right now, over and over again, we see people getting injured and it's underinsured. There's just not enough coverage, right? And so people buy underinsured motorist coverage. It's supposed to protect you and your family. The insurance companies wrote in reducing clauses that you bought 100,000 of underinsured motorists. If the other car had 100,000, you get zero. So you paid a premium for no coverage you can get. Under the Truth in Auto at the time, when you paid for 100,000 of coverage, you got it, right? The insurance companies can play this, you know, switch them, you know. So just on that consumer, the opportunities are there. But when you think about shared revenue and taxing the wealthy and having money be available for public education, allowing communities to have their fair share of shared revenue. You know, I mean, you know, David Crowley was absolutely on point on that. You know, Tiffany, and as representing that MAGA party, they defunded, right? Police, you're talking about police. When you gut local communities and they can't function, and only, you know, Hendricks, you know, hanging out with the billionaires, it doesn't work.
And, you know, I'm glad, and it's interesting that you use the phrase in connection to a Republican that they defunded the police, because we never talk about it in that way. On the surface, we know that the Republicans go to great lengths to make sure that pensions and retirement stuff is protected for police. But when you talk about the day-to-day operational cost, that is a form. And you know what? I don't think I've ever heard anybody characterize it that way. But when you think about it, they actually are the ones who literally help to defund the police, because they are reducing opportunities and ways by which the city can raise revenues to be able to pay for these things. We're not getting our fair share of revenue. So they are in part responsible for our inability to honestly afford a lot of the police services, just general operational city services and county services that we need. But that was an interesting way to put that, because outside of pensions, they're not worried about the day-to-day operations of police, what we need in terms of body cams or safety equipment. They're not worried about that. Yeah. That was a great way to put that.
Yeah, like they have gutted local communities, and they have played the slickest game on us. And, you know, frankly, we keep buying their game. And, you know, so the reason I think David Crowley will win, the question is, can he win as big as Chris Taylor won? Right? Can we get David Crowley in a blue slate across with a 10-point margin? That, to me, is the ultimate challenge. I mean, I think David has to run as if he's 5 points down. You know, I heard some polls yesterday that, oh, yeah, he's up. But to me, if I'm David or inside his campaign, I'm saying you run every day like you're 10 points down. Okay? You have to run hungrier than anyone has ever been hungry before.
Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, one thing his campaign needs to stop is these 7 and 10 text messages every day, because you also have the ability to turn people off. And I'm like, it's too much. I said I was gonna go back and count how many I had gotten, and they're coming at all times of the day and night. And I'm like, hey, you can overdo some of this stuff and it becomes an irritant. So I just want to put free advice. Take it if you want to, but don't inundate my text messages with your campaign. You know, come on now. Well, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you know, and so I think when you compare David Crowley and blue slates Assembly and in the Senate, because look at, if David is elected and he doesn't have the Senate and the Assembly,
it's Obama's second term.
Right, we can't, right? We can't get it done, right? You have to be able to get it done.
You gotta have help.
But the other thing to me that really hit me, just being, you know, older, when I look at Tom Tiffany, because Tom Tiffany is, I mean, he's 65. And he hit, you know, I saw an ad and he says, you know, he's running for the police, right? But even though his party, as we just talked, gutted local communities, meaning he gutted the police, he defunded the police. So that's just
not to mention you do nothing to 100. Was it 172 police officers were injured in January 6th, and there were folks that were getting ready to sit by on the sidelines and watch this fund be created. People have been pardoned who've harmed the police, and Republicans have been silent.
No, they haven't been silent. Well, Tiffany is out there voting 100% with Trump, and Trump.
Well, that part.
Trump wanted to create this slush fund, and look, they're not done. I think they're going to get it done. They want to pay millions of dollars to these haters who attacked police.
I mean, and damaged the United States Capitol, and literally had congressmen and women on the floor hiding from them.
And put the Confederate flag on the floor for the first time ever.
Can you believe
it? No, I can't believe it.
And so,
This is evil. And a Tom Tiffany who doesn't think Juneteenth is of any significance.
Have talked about that.
And who talks about, right, taxes and reducing taxes, but he only really means for the ultimate wealthy. And you know, he is old enough to remember what his party used to run. Okay, and that's why in 1956, people think about this, the Republican Party, Eisenhower, a general, coming out, you know, this is after World War II, after, right, I mean, just, right, we got Korea, right? I mean, Eisenhower's thinking, and his 1956 platform, tell me if this doesn't sound like a blue slate, blue plan. Federal assistance to low-income communities. Okay, this is what the Republicans ran on. Extension of Social Security. Asylum, folks, for thousands of refugees, expellees, and displaced persons. Today we have Trump and ICE and arresting citizens and frankly murdering citizens. In 1956, Republicans wanted to extend the minimum wage protections to as many more workers as is possible and practicable, improving the unemployment benefit system, protection of the right of workers to organize into unions and to bargain collectively, and to assure equal pay for equal work regardless of sex. Tom Tiffany doesn't stand for any of these. I mean, think about this.
And one of my favorites, I had to go back and pull it while you were talking. Eisenhower, back at that time, was specifically also interested in legislation that dealt with disenfranchisement of Black voters. And so there were actually things and work being done to help to protect the right to vote. And we know that Tiffany is a part of this culture of dismantling and creating doubt. And, you know,
I mean, look at he's right.
He's
a denier, right?
Yeah.
I was here on the Elections Commission 2020, right? There was no fraud. Trump lost, right? I mean, look at 2016, tight race. Trump won, right? Hillary lost. We certified Trump. 2020, margin flipped. Trump lost. And he's, to this day, can't accept that.
No.
And look at it, and folks, we've been talking about this. He's coming in November. Okay, ICE, and their new electronic.
The gloves.
The gloves. A lot of people, I'm afraid, are going to feel these gloves. I mean, this is an election that we all have to be engaged in. I'm just very excited that David Crowley is at that top of the ticket that I get to go fight for, because this is truly a unique opportunity for Wisconsin to rally. And here, 300,000 voters or plus voted for Francesca Hong.
Mm-hmm.
That's young people that are looking for the future. And people, I listen. I think we should talk about, when people talk about democratic socialists, that Tiffany's going to run all over this stuff, and he's going to pull the platform of, I don't even know where they're, and the craziest stuff. But to me, for the lesson is, we should look at what Denmark. I have cousins there, and my wife and I were there a couple summers ago, and we were in a little town where my grandfather had lived, and my great grandfather had built. He was a builder, a brick mason, and the waitress waiting on us for breakfast she'd just come back from New Orleans on vacation, and she goes, I feel so sorry for you Americans. I was in New Orleans, and they're homeless, and waitresses were, all they were worried about is medical bills. What were they going to do with their kids? How their kids were going to get to school? How they were going to retire? And she goes, here in Denmark, we have a structure and a society and a tax structure, because there are tons of very, very wealthy people in Denmark and Copenhagen. But this is a waitress. And she said, I have never once worried about healthcare. I have never once worried about retirement. And I never once worried about where my kid was going to go to school. And I don't know why we as Wisconsinites and Americans don't just adopt that worldview. We could have all of that simply by redesigning, you don't have to do, Eisenhower almost got there, right? That taxing the rich, paying attention to unions, created a middle class that used to be the envy of the world, right? So now it's time for us to look to Denmark. If a waitress is happy and content because they're not worried about this, why don't we aim high?
Well, I'm just gonna say, understanding the system that we have, the mind shift that is required, and the folks who are in power, and have an undue amount of influence on the way things get done in this country. It literally requires, when they talk about waking a sleeping giant, people rising up, because you have 1%, 5% of the wealthiest people in this country making decisions for everybody else by way of where they put their money.
Yeah, and on the tech, we got maybe 6 white guys going to decide the whole future of AI in our lives, right? This is insane.
It is completely insane. And so, I talk to folks that are from China who talk about the cost of healthcare compared to what it is in the States. And it is crazy that we accept this. When you look at what was done under Biden to get insulin prices down, and you realize that we're being gouged at every turn. I had to go to the emergency room on Friday, and all I could think about is, what is this getting ready to cost me? I had someone call me and say, when you talk about a legislature, when you talk about what was done for the auto industry, but for the healthcare industry, I had a listener to the show and a friend call, and he said, hey, I think this is something worth talking about on your show one day. My mother passed away 2 years ago. We had a life insurance policy on her, but because of her income, she was eligible for the state to help, with her like nursing home costs and all that. 2 years after the mom dies, the state sends a letter to her family saying, hey, we heard there was a life insurance policy. We want our money back. Mm-hmm. And then he found out from an attorney that, no, your policy was purchased before the legislature changed the law. So you're fine. But anybody else who bought that policy, and, for a lot of people, this is an opportunity to potentially pay off that family house, to pay off cars, to pay down some of the debt that the parent had, whatever it is. And then in my case, I'm paying the premium on my mother's life insurance. My mother this wasn't her policy. It was my policy. So how do you come after my policy that I paid for? My mother had nothing to do with it. That blew me away. But that also speaks to a legislature when you look at whose interest people are carrying forward. So that's why it also becomes important about who's sitting in that governor's office, has the ability to veto or allow a bill to move forward as well.
Yeah. But it takes all of us to be engaged. And my final comment on Tuesday, on last Tuesday, the primary turnout for Dems was at almost record highs. That showed me that there is a hunger, right, and at the street level to imagine something bigger. Now it's up to David and his team to put together that coalition. I mean, Francesca Hung had 7,000 volunteers. They had 300,000 votes out and they didn't run major TV, mm-hmm. right? Mm-mm. So there is a lot to learn, a lot to sew together. But if we do work with each other and remember that MAGA Tiffany and Trump are the existential danger to everything we do, right? Everything we do and how we think. I'm very, very, very hopeful. And just from the business point of view and representing injured people, having a governor and a legislature that is open to consumers instead of just the industry bosses is absolutely necessary for all of us. And to me, that Tuesday and David Crowley and his example and his guts and creative and unifying imagination was a happy day.
All right. Well, look, that is the show for this morning. Folks have had an opportunity, to think about. Number one, I said this when he first re-entered the race. Real work began, on August 12th. How do you mobilize? How do you get him across the finish line? What can people do? It's not just enough to show up at the polls. It's going to require, so much more. So I'll be talking about that in the coming future. But for folks that have any questions or concerns, need legal advice, may need some help, how do they reach you?
You go to GTW Lawyers on the internet. You find us, you call 414-837-4167, 414-837-4167. Gingras, Thompson, and Watts. We're here for you, all in to win for you. And at a bigger scale, to stand with you and accompany you, because we all have to create and make this a more perfect union.
All right, family. That is the Scales of Justice for this month. I want to thank Attorney Mark Thompson for joining us. Let me take a quick commercial break. I see we got callers on the line. I'll get you in. We'll be right back.
The work we're doing at Veolia is absolutely bringing access to the water for people. To be able to have this job to help keep our rivers clean and our lake clean is the greatest thing I could ask to be doing with my time. It feels good. You're accomplishing something that is truly helping everybody in the community I was born and raised in. Water is our greatest resource. We all need it to survive. Veolia is 100% doing great work.
When we wanted to expand access for folks in need of bikes, we turned to Veolia. The result, the new Veolia EcoPass program that has dramatically increased access to our bike share system for folks all throughout our community, connecting students to schools, people looking for work with employers, the community with parks. Thanks to our partnership with Veolia, Bubbler Bikes is serving more people than ever before. Those are Milwaukee values.
I'm Jim Plaisted. I'm the executive director of the Historic Third Ward Association and also a resident of the Historic Third Ward. Somebody's got to manage this, right, and care for our waterways and care for the treatment of our waterways. We couldn't do it without MMSD and Veolia. They've just been a great partner as long as I've known them. It's just been an amazing recovery for this body of water. MMSD and Veolia have been a big part of getting that clean and enjoyable for all of us.
We have been in business here for 14 years. I believe the rivers are the cleanest they've ever been. We get lots of people on our rivers in canoes, kayaks, stand-up paddleboards. People are happy to be here, and it's growing every year. We love our partnership with Veolia. They help the kayak company grow. I definitely don't think we would be here without Veolia and MMSD. Clean water is essential.
WNOV.
All right, family, welcome back to the show. So I got a caller that held through the break. I want to get them in. Let me also just acknowledge why, and I didn't have my phone by me when I was talking to Attorney Thompson, but I just got it off the charger and noticed that I had gotten some text messages, one of which a regular listener to the show. I hear from his sister every day. She said, my daughter lived in Copenhagen, Denmark for 4 years. She never worried about lack of health care. Denmark was known as the happiest city on earth. So here is somebody right here in town when Mark is talking about what they experienced, what the waitress said, that we have Black folks that know this to be true, have family members that are experiencing this for themselves. And I got 2 other text messages that also validated that whole piece about healthcare and, why we do what we do. During the break, I welcome another guest into the studio, but we started talking about the whole healthcare piece and how folks are actually honestly out here struggling in this country. And people are afraid to go to the doctor, afraid to go to the emergency room, don't want to accumulate bills. And then people are being denied left and right, care that could potentially extend their life or save their life in some cases. So it is frustrating. So I'm gonna get these 2 calls in, then I'm gonna get to my guest that's in studio. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing this morning?
I'm blessed. I was trying to get in. I don't know if the lawyer actually take calls, but he talked about how Francesca Hong had about 7,000 volunteers. Yeah, 7,000 white jobs.
Hang on, you sound a little muffled. You got us on speaker?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, thank you.
She has 7,000 young white jobs just like herself.
I'm sorry, did you say young whack jobs?
Yeah, young white jobs.
Okay.
But check this out. The lawyer was talking about health care, but he forgot, if we ever go to a real fully social society, what does that do for the lawyers? Everybody have a public pretender, because they'll be state appointed. Ain't no look at the countries that's got it. They've got state appointed. I don't care how much money you got. You're not going to be able to really, there's no private lawyers. It's all state derived. It's all put together by the states. So that would actually put lawyers here in America out of business while I'm sitting here listening to him. And then he never addressed the fact that what about the housing situation, which you got black landlords, we already losing. Our kids will be sitting around saying, we used to have all of that stuff, but now look, they got it. Who is they? We're giving it away for them right now. And some people are so beholden to whatever belief or oath they took in the past that they going to sit back and push the demise of this on their people, because it would compound every year on top of your regular city taxes, and it's going by assessment. Nobody has no real, appraisal going here. We're going off a city assessment value. Please, if you love your people, you would be telling them, look, man, I ain't heard Crowley address that. I think he's scared to, because if he do that, he's going to run head on into the school board, which we know has a real powerful union, and they spend a lot of money. So I don't know if he's going to address it. I know he's not. If he get in office, I can't see him saying, this got to stop right now. I got to save grandma's whatever was left to me or whatever, his own house. See, these are real issues. That other stuff don't mean nothing to me. And if it comes down to it and we do some kind of way evolve into a socialist society fully, you're going to have a public defender. And everybody going to be on Badger Care while you keep talking about Medicaid. It's all going to be a state-ran system. Don't care how much money you got. You won't be able to get the doctor of your choice, the best surgeon of your choice. So some stuff is just real now. I'm gonna get out of here with that, because somebody going to come behind me, not looking at what it really is, and shoot me down with the nonsense on their mind until that about 5 years in, they can't afford to pay them taxes on that house, and they got to walk away.
All right.
30 years.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. And just so you know, I am going to be the shooter. I just got a guest in the studio, so I can't get you right now, but I'm going to circle back. I definitely am going to be the shooter. Let me catch this last caller. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning, Michelle.
Hey,
Thanks for taking
morning.
my call.
No problem.
I rather enjoyed that interview you had from the guy that was on. But you know something? When Tiffany is talking about David Crowley with his smile, because he smiles all the time, they picked that picture to do this. Number one, we're in the predicament that we're in because of the Republican legislators up there in Madison. If they were to give us the money that we're entitled to, we wouldn't be in the bind that we're in, and people would be able to live. So he's not causing it. One man is not causing it. We have to get intelligent. And I really liked how he said Hong had 7,000 people working. That's a machinery that we need to really pull together and work and keep it in place. And let's forget all this other bull crap, and let's start working together. We all live on a block. Get out of your house, walk down your block, and encourage people to go and vote. And if they need a ride, that you will take them. But you know another thing, you still have to call and make sure, because right across the street, that person may not go to the same poll that you go to. So you have to find all those things out. And when people come in and they be making calls, want me to come out and make all these phone calls, no. I want to work the area that I'm familiar with, that I've been working in this community, that people don't turn out and vote like they should, but apparently they must have got out and did something. Those are the areas we need to work the hardest. And let's stop giving people so much airtime. Give us some solutions. And stop bringing us a whole bunch of drama. Because if we don't do something for our children, we're going to be hurting. And the people, don't waste time putting a nail in somebody else's coffin. They're doing that for themselves. Let's get about the business and not be like crabs in a jar pulling each other down, because we're all on the same ship. And what we need to be doing is thinning out that Republican Party, because they are not doing what they need to be doing for the people. The people in the rural areas and the people in the central city, which they like to call the inner city, are suffering the same. And we need to wake up.
All right.
And show them just how you going to vote for them when the election come in November. Stay home.
All right.
They
Thank
think
you.
they have you all sewed up. And then look at the next dumb thing, and then I'm going to get off of this. Up there in, was it in New York, where Trump berated his attorney general there? No, it was in Washington, where he said the reflection pool, that this Olympic person ruined it. She went along with it, got the facts, brought it back, cleared him, because it was a business that did not know what they were doing, and one man could not have destroyed that pool. So now all of a sudden, he calls her to the White House, and now it's been a whole change of heart. And now they're going to get a special one of these courts that, you know, you go to, what do they call it? I'm sorry. Brain sorry.
Nope, that's okay. I got you. I'm up against the break, though, and I got a guest in the studio.
Anyway, what I'm saying is, when you go to school...
Wait, hang on. Let me stop you, because I'm up against the break, and I got a guest in the studio. So thank you so much. I appreciate the call, but let me take my break so I can respect the time of the guest. All right, family, I'll be right back.
The work we're doing at Veolia is absolutely bringing access to the water for people. To be able to have this job to help keep our rivers clean and our lake clean is the greatest thing I could ask to be doing with my time. It feels good. You're accomplishing something that is truly helping everybody in the community I was born and raised in. Water is our greatest resource. We all need it to survive. Veolia is 100% doing great work.
When we wanted to expand access for folks in need of bikes, we turned to Veolia. The result, the new Veolia EcoPass program that has dramatically increased access to our bike share system for folks all throughout our community, connecting students to schools, people looking for work with employers, the community with parks. Thanks to our partnership with Veolia, Bubbler Bikes is serving more people than ever before. Those are Milwaukee values.
I'm Jim Plaisted. I'm the Executive Director of the Historic Third Ward Association and also a resident of the Historic Third Ward. Somebody's got to manage this, right, and care for our waterways and care for the treatment of our waterways. We couldn't do it without MMSD and Veolia. They've just been a great partner as long as I've known them. It's just been an amazing recovery for this body of water. MMSD and Veolia have been a big part of getting that clean and enjoyable for all of us.
We have been in business here for 14 years. I believe the rivers are the cleanest they've ever been. We get lots of people on our rivers in canoes, kayaks, stand-up paddleboards. People are happy to be here, and it's growing every year. We love our partnership with Veolia. They help the kayak company grow. I definitely don't think we would be here without Veolia and MMSD. Clean water is essential.
OV.
Look, so I said that I have a guest in the studio. I just happened to look up. I did not say good morning to my folks on Facebook and YouTube. I see y'all going in like crazy. I got to go back now and scroll through and read all these comments. But the first thing I see when I looked up, hey, Carol, way to represent Nova High School, the place where a student can get a real chance to realize their potential inside and outside the classroom. By the way, I met a Nova graduate at State Fair who was working as a greeter. So I just want you to know somebody saw you on camera, recognized your face. It was like, hey, Carol. So let me introduce you to the rest of the listening audience for folks that may not be familiar with you. First time on the show.
Yes.
Carol Butt.
Yes.
And what's the title over at Nova?
I am the co-director over at Nova along with Dr. Keisha Myers.
Okay, so it is wonderful to have you in the building today. And for folks that are not familiar with Nova High School, tell us a little bit about the school.
So Nova High School, right there on 23rd and Burleigh, has been in existence, first of all, for 30 plus years.
Okay.
Started off 1993 as a Milwaukee partnership school with Milwaukee Public Schools.
Okay.
We've recently transitioned. We're part of the Milwaukee Parental Choice Program now.
Hmm.
And we are a small school with a big purpose.
Really?
Well, our purpose is to continue to service our community. Those same students who have been in the Burleigh 53206, 53212, 16 community, we are still there to service these kids. And welcoming a new traditional type program, as well as continue to serving the at-risk youth.
So let me just back up for a second, because a lot of folks may not know a lot about you. So have you spent most of your career at Nova, or you've worked across the district?
I've worked across many educational programs. I worked with Milwaukee Partnership Schools for 16 years. I was with CYD.
Oh, okay.
So I worked
cool.
for CYD School of Excellence for 16 years. I have been at Nova since 2020. I came in during the pandemic. Did some coaching for a few years between the closure of CYD and coming to Nova. And during the pandemic, I thought it might be wise to just come back into a building to try to make that transition back after we came back from COVID. So I've been there since 2020.
So let me just ask you, because the population of young people that you are working with, in some cases, some of these kids can have the hardest times. They can have some of the most difficult home situations, difficult, starts to their academic career, may not have always gotten all the supports that they've needed. And when you think about folks that have the luxury of saying who gets into a school, who doesn't get into a school, who gets help, aid, and resources, and who may get slighted, frequently I would get so frustrated as I am talking to young people, and I'm literally, as they are talking to me, I'm saying in my mind, somebody is failing you academically,
and sometimes they have experienced so much trauma in their elementary school years and in their youth that they lack the confidence. They don't believe. So what we try to do is try to help restore that belief, that confidence. Coming in, we try to focus on what we call their intellectual courage. Help them to see that this is just one moment in time in their lives, and help them be a part of planning what's next for them. Help them learning to strengthen that each one teach one, and we are community. Life teaches us a lot now, sometimes to just worry about you. Well, that's twofold.
Pull that mic up so I can make sure that they
to
got
just
you.
worry about you. Yeah, we have to be independent and we have to set our own paths. But there's a bigger world out here, and that's what we try to teach the kids, that you are connected to other people. So intellectual courage, humanity, and so that they can build a sense of integrity in themselves, and they can take that trauma and turn it into something good to show their little brothers and sisters. So oftentimes they come from very serious challenges, but we meet students where they are, and help them grow.
And I'm glad you brought that piece in, because that was the other part of what I was going to say, that I've looked at these kids or young people and hear them talking, and I'm like, you've been failed academically, you've been failed in terms of family support, emotionally. You know, so many of them, children have not had an opportunity to be children, have had to grow up way too fast. You know, I'm gonna just tell you, I'm in the midst of helping someone who is going through homelessness or housing insecurity, as they say today. But I'm watching the child connected to this situation. And this little boy has the saddest eyes. And there are moments when he sees me coming that his eyes either light up because he knows something is about to be taken care of, or we're about to move again. And, you know, we don't appreciate how that will show up always in school. And he will get in front of this teacher, and the teacher have like not a ton of information. All you know is this child can't do any of the things that they should be able to do entering first grade. So the population of young people that you are serving at NOVA, in terms of graduation, are these students that are on track for graduation, need additional assistance? What kind of students are you serving?
So we're serving twofold right now, but traditionally we've served that student who was over age under credit. So we have an 18 credit track for that person, so that they don't have to give up. We kind of fast track them to get those key graduation requirements.
So let me back up for a second. You say over age under credit. So like what would that look like?
So that looks like a student,
20-year-old.
So anyone from like 18 to 21, you know, who may have not fared well their freshman year of school. So now that's put them back a year for their estimated graduation date. So we're able to take a look at where they are and get them some additional, put them on an 18 credit track, get them some additional independent studies, or either some online course to help them recoup those credits. And give them on what they call the state and alternative track, an 18 credit track, eliminate some of those elective and get them those core credits so that they can get on and get into life.
So what's the other side?
The other is a 22 credit, which is a traditional credit track. Those additional electives that makes a student more well-rounded, those students who are on track for graduation.
And so you've been there now since COVID. So what are you seeing? I mean, because we worry about graduation rates.
It's been difficult.
9% literacy rate in this state.
It's been difficult.
The Black students. So what's it been like?
It's been difficult, even with coming back to the classroom post-COVID. We saw additional years being added to that academic successfulness in students. Them being, during COVID, the students expressed that some of them never even signed on. So those years, if they were already behind, put them at additional deficit.
So like, wait, because so we can keep up. So you're saying that we go to a point where kids are now at home. Chromebooks have been sent home. Everybody's supposed to be logging into school from home. And there were some students that never even did that piece.
We found ourselves with students who transitioned from 8th grade, and now they're 17, and this is their real first or traditional first year back in school.
What?
Yes. So this is our reality.
We don't even think sometimes, I think, as a community about that lost period of COVID when school is out. And how these kids, because, you know, and then there were kids like they have not had any traditional high school experience, so that cognitive development, social development and growth, they've missed all of that. So schools are really in a tough spot. So then the kids are coming back to school and they lack the social skills. They are emotionally distraught. COVID did a lot mentally to all of us. But it's hard to see sometimes. Like, I'm sure if you ask a lot of parents about how their child came through COVID, they would tell you, oh, fine, no problem. But how does it show up when it comes to school?
It shows up through technology. The kids live behind the camera. They created a persona of wellness that really didn't exist. Social media and technology often gives students a mask to hide some of those.
Wait. I gotta take a break. When we come back, this needs to be the title of a series, that they lived behind the camera.
Yep.
A mask behind that camera. Let me take a break.
Mhm.
Carol Butchaw from Nova High School is in the building, saying some things that many of us may not have thought about, and trying to make sure that folks know there's a place for students who may need additional assistance and help. There's a place for them. And we want to get folks started off right going into this upcoming school year. Let me take a break. I'll be right back.
AURN News.
I'm Jamie Jackson. Over the past year, prices are up 3.4%, and that means Americans are still paying more for the basics even as inflation slows down. The CPI is one of the key numbers the Federal Reserve watches when deciding what to do with interest rates, but for families, this is not just a data point. It's food, rent, clothes, utility, transportation, and everything else needed to get through the month. The July report showed overall food prices edged higher, while grocery prices slipped slightly. Energy prices fell from June, but remain much higher than a year ago. Shelter costs continue to drive inflation. Prices for clothing and used cars also increased. Slower inflation does not mean prices are going back down. It means prices are rising at a slower pace. For AURN News, I'm Jamie Jackson.
WNOV.
All right, folks. So we are back. I'm joined in studio by Carol Butts, co-director over at Nova High School. And before we went to break, she had made a statement, and I just wanted her to expand a little bit on it, then also give contact information for folks that may be interested in talking to you all about their child attending Nova, or a young person who hears it themselves and like, you know what, this may be a better fit for me. But you made a statement. You used the phrase living behind the camera.
Yes.
Can you help me with that?
So what I mean by that is everybody knows we live in a society where our students get their news, they get their information, and they live their lives through social media, whatever platform that it is that they use. But in exercising that, they aren't always being their authentic selves.
Right.
They're creating a lifestyle that gets them acceptance. So they live behind this camera, and it's not often not real. So when we get them in school and you're 17 and you're vulnerable to try to seek academics or to try, they lack that courage, because now this is real.
Yeah, this is the real deal.
This is real.
You can't put a filter on this lens. You can't dress it up. You can either read or you can't. You can do the work or you can't.
Exactly. But what we encourage is we're here for that student. We want to help you build that confidence to try, because this is your future. And we try to set pathways in place to help them be the architects of their own future and slowly build that confidence. I had a couple of students who would not use their voice last year, and through working with them, wouldn't talk. They never spoke. And actually, one of them came on the radio last year. So teaching them to find their voice so that they can live their authentic selves, be themselves, and believe in themselves. We have to restructure that. So at Nova, we are family.
So for folks that are interested, want to learn more about the program, what should they do?
So you can go to our website, novahighschool.org. You can also call the school, 414-874-0283, and schedule an appointment to come in and take a tour.
Say the number again.
414-874-0283.
Okay. And they can call and schedule an appointment.
They can call and schedule an appointment, take a tour, or you can go on our website and fill out an application. We are currently enrolling. We are a family, and we offer a relationship-centered atmosphere and environment, and a pathway to your kids getting the high school diploma.
So someone asked in the chat, they said, did she say Dr. Lakeisha Myers was over there?
Yes, we welcome Dr. Myers in as my co-director this year, and we are looking to make a difference. We're looking to bring our kids back into their academic lives.
All right. So I want to thank you so much for making time for us this morning. And let me do this, community, before I get out of here. There are a lot of folks that pay attention to what goes on down Racine, Kenosha, in the faith community. If you had not heard, Bishop Lawrence Kirby Sr. has passed away. Racine County joins the community in mourning the passing of Bishop Lawrence L. Kirby Sr., deeply respected faith leader, mentor, community advocate whose impact reached across generations. Through his leadership as St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church of Racine, recognized as Wisconsin's oldest African-American church, Bishop Kirby helped strengthen not only his congregation, but the broader Racine community. His work extended beyond the walls of the church through years of service, partnership and guidance in support of families, young people, and community-centered programming. Among his many contributions, Bishop Kirby created the Godfathers, Godsons program, providing mentorship, support, and positive guidance for Black youth as they grew into adulthood. There are a number of things that he also helped to do: create the St. Paul Gardens Apartments, affordable senior housing. He is someone who's going to be truly missed. And I'm going to just say this, politically, when I have had to travel the state and bring candidates in and work with local faith leaders, Bishop Kirby was always in the mix and made sure I knew who to talk to when I came to Racine, Kenosha area. So I want to personally send my condolences to the family, to the congregants, and the friends and our community members that loved this brother. He was a giant in his own right. So with that being said, that is a wrap for the show today. Let me thank Attorney Mark Thompson and also Carol Butts, who joined us this morning. Family, it's a bunch I got to get to tomorrow. Couldn't do it today, but make sure you catch me. Michelle Bryant, WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM. Bros in the building. Appreciate y'all. Talk to y'all later. Peace.